tracks for Steve Swift reviews. He punched me twice in the face and asked for a duel. The pugilistic prophet with newbies diagnostics, like Scroobius Pip but less toxic. The UK comet shooting stars never lost it. It's 2025 and the internet still dies. Guys are chasing algorithms like a crack pipe high.
It's just so good. It's just so good to hear that music, because that means that it's the bees of boxing. I feel like sometimes, you know, when we do this, when this music kicks in, it should be one of those late night, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming to you live. It's almost got that kind of a vibe to it. I think it's fantastic. You know who else has that vibe, ladies and gentlemen? Steve Swift, the man that all of this would not be possible unless it was for him. I'm telling you, the Bees of Boxing with Steve Swift would just be something completely different. Steve, how are you doing this week, my brother?
Oh, I'm very well. I take your point about the late night thing, but it should have. It's time to think of your life choices. Yes, the Bees of Boxing.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm very well. Liverpool are holding Manchester City to a 0-0 win.
Well,
unless they scored, but I doubt it. But and that's all good for me being a Liverpool fan.
Let's talk Liverpool then, because apparently there's a saying going around. There's an MMA fighter by the name of Paddy Pimblett who has a very, very big phrase that he's known for, because people just couldn't do it. And he would say this little phrase: Scousers don't get knocked out. But Patty, I'm gonna call bullshit, because what happened to your Scouser brethren, Nick Ball? Because he got knocked out by a haymaker from a listen, nothing against Figgy, but Figgy was losing that, and that was his only chance. What happened in this fight with Nick Ball? Tell us what you know, Steve.
It was close. I thought it was pretty close, and the judges' scorecards gave it to Nick Ball if it's gone, the whole way. And of course, he got knocked out in the final round, did Nick Ball. But the other two give it to Figgy Pudding, Brandon Figueroa. And I thought that, the thing is, I thought that Nick Ball was the better boxer on the night, but sometimes the judges don't see that if the other boxer is asserting massive, massive pressure. And Figueroa didn't let up, did he? And I thought in that ninth round, oh, he looks like he's found a second wind. Now, Nick Ball at that point must have thought, where's mine? It's not here. So I thought he would have shaded it anyway, but I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a draw had it gone the whole way.
I thought that Figgy made it harder than he needed to make it. He's a guy with that kind of a reach on Nick Ball. Everybody has a reach on a guy who's 1 apple tall. That's just goes without saying. So, but the fact that Figgy kept digging to the body so much, kept trying to dig and throw these shots and stuff like that, which, at the end of the day, worked out perfectly when he just kind of bears down and throws that big one. But he was getting caught. And then what Nick Ball does is he fights with these big uppercuts. These Hadouken, Street Fighter uppercuts that he throws, and they seem to work because he's a little pit bull. He's a little power slug, Do you think? Here's the other question though. Because I'm going to ask you this, Steve, because he's a little British fighter who's he beat?
Now this is the issue, isn't it? And I spoke about this when the fight was announced. They were thinking, and probably wish they hadn't announced this, that they would look for the Inoue fight if he had won here. And the thing is that Ball shouldn't be able to land that many uppercuts on a man who is much taller. But as you say, Figueroa doesn't fight to his strengths. It's like Sebastian Fundora saying, do you know what? I'm just going to do this fight on my knees, because actually That'll make it more even. Well, you use the attributes you've got. So, yeah, he did make it more difficult for himself. I don't think, I mean, if he had have won that fight, I would have thought, well, Nick Ball was, pretty good for your money as well. I think Nick Ball will come again. Tyson Fury has said that Nick Ball will come again, so he will. And he basically also, Tyson Fury, he was very sweet in his little short to Nick Ball. Not just to Nick Ball, of course, he told everybody, which is what he usually does. He didn't just send it to him personally. But he said that to all the haters hating on Nick Ball, I didn't see any haters. No. It's one of those things in boxing. He lost concentration for a split second, and it was a really bad knockdown.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, you take nothing away from Brandon Figueroa. He is now a 3 division champion. You don't become a 3 division champion unless you're already, shocker people, a fucking 2 division champion. So like, it's not like he's a scrub who came in off the streets. Now there is going to be some people out there that are going to, have the argument about, well, Nick Ball didn't really, because Ray Vargas was the champion and he was champion in recess after that draw. And then you throw in Stephen Fulton and you throw in O'Shaquie Foster, and the WBC ended up making up this typical WBC smorgasbord of shit that the WBC does. And somewhere in the end of it, Nick Ball has to split from the whole thing and go, and he takes the WBA belt. So, what are we doing?
May I just say that you should open a restaurant and call it the smorgasbord of shit and see how many people you get, because you probably get loads of people coming in.
Well, you'd have to spell it shite and put an E at the end of it.
You would. Now, the thing about Nick Ball is that it is about his talent, but it's also about the kind of fighter he is. Small, as you say, pit bull, comes at you. That's the kind of fighter that people want to see. You don't necessarily want to see Figgy Pudding, Brandon. You don't necessarily want to see him because he'll do the job, but you won't think, my God, look at how he's bouncing around that Nick Ball. His surname is right for him. So it's more about, I often think about that, and I'm not denigrating Nick Ball because he's a great fighter. But, you're quite right that the business of boxing says this little fiery fella is someone who's good to watch. And that sometimes is more important than the boxing of boxing, as we've seen.
Well, and we did see it earlier with one of Nick Ball's buddies earlier in the night. Special shout out, Andrew Kane. I mean, who kind of resembles Nick Ball a little bit. You know what I mean? There's something in the water over there, apparently. What happened there? What happened there, Steve, other than fantasticness?
0-0, because he's facing Gonzalez. He takes 2 fantastic body shots. I thought the first one was a shot to the, but I think it might have been body shots. Mm-hmm. Stood up from both of them. It was not like Tyson Fury, Michael Myers, ding, 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 time to get up, Tyson. It wasn't that, but he got up from those body shots, which, the second one was a brutal shot, and he got up from it and won that fight. Now, he put Gonzalez down twice after that. So he was put down in the 8th round. He came back in the 9th round and put him down twice. People are saying that the referee shouldn't have stopped it, because what happened was that Gonzalez got up and he walked away, and people say boxers tend to do that. Yeah, but what the referee wants you to do is to present both hands so they can look in your fucking eyes and make sure you are focused. If you walk away, the referee will think you're hiding something, Sonny. That's done. So he was on the cusp of something massive. At that point, that was viral. You messaged me and said, have a look at this, and I couldn't at the time because I was watching a terrible movie. But the thing is that, as I often am, but the thing is that later on in the night, there was a bit of a fracas fracas at the end of the Figueroa and Ball fight. In that, Ball had a bad knockdown and was being tended to by the doctor, and the camp, the Figueroa camp, were just overexcited. I really think this is the case. They were just shocked, overexcited, adrenaline, and they started celebrating whilst Nick Ball was still receiving treatment. They apologized very quickly for that. And there was stuff thrown in the ring, and there was a bit of a shenanigan in the ring. And allegedly, Andrew Kane aimed a kick at one of Figueroa's team, which has led people to say, A, hero to zero, and B, they're taking the piss out of him by saying good with his feet as well. So all of that stuff, and he was interviewed afterwards saying, I've got a lot of adrenaline, I can't really speak. Well, the thing is that you need to keep yourself together, because you need to know when to stop. It's the business of boxing, that.
Yeah.
And you've unfortunately muddied the waters when you could have had an excellent night.
You're not at the pub. Your boy didn't just get fucking dusted in the street, and you're mad about it and want to get revenge on the guys who are dancing on the other side. This isn't how this works anymore, Andrew. I mean, yes, he had a fantastic outing, and that could have been very bad for his career going forward, I think. Good thing that smarter heads prevailed in that situation. Now, what do you do with Brandon Figueroa at this point? He's not getting any younger, right? He's talking about unifications.
Well, what you do is you put him on a plane for September, and you send him to the Mexican card, because Turki Al-Sheikh has not let the grass grow. I mean, it's seemingly minutes after that announcement, or after that win, he announced that he wanted him there for the Mexico versus the rest of the world, which is what they're still calling it, isn't it? Card, which has got the Canelo boutique promotion to it. So I don't know who's going to fight, but you've now got that Riyadh season money. So, at the end, in the swan song of his career, he's got a bit of dosh. He's got that Bunsen burner, as my mate Carl Froch would say.
Well, if you think about it, that entire division really is kind of waiting for Shushu to clean it out, aren't they?
Yeah.
Shushu Carrington is really the fight. Like, if you're talking unification, then you're talking Figueroa, you're talking Figgy and Shushu. And I mean, that's a fight I would love to see at this point. But I think that you're going to have that Figueroa is going to have to come out. Maybe that's the fight that they were hoping to have happen with Nick Ball, was Nick Ball and Shushu, right?
Yeah, because you've got lots of snatches of Carrington saying, I'd like you, it's going to be. And we've not got anything solid yet. But, I'm thinking, and I don't know because I'm not in his head. I haven't even aimed a kick at him. But Figueroa would probably be thinking, okay, win or lose, Bunsen burner, and I'm at the end of towards the end of, of my run, really. So, I mean, he can't have expected that he would have won this. I think Nick Ball was the slight favourite going in. It's his backyard. And I think that Figueroa and his team, that's why they were so excited. You can see the opportunities for cash and belts and all the rest of it. And he will get that Riyadh money. So whether or not, and I suspect he loses against Carrington, he's still got some cash, which is brilliant in this hurt business.
Yeah, I think the only other fight really at that point that would make any sense for me anyways would be Omar Trinidad. I think that's a really appeasing fight too, because Omar's on a crash course to Shushu as well. So you got to keep that into the mix, right? And there's a kid who is on fire right now. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of these fights that His Excellency puts together for Riyadh, if that's the case, right?
You keep bringing these names out, which I love. So it's the stuff that's in the corner of my mind. I'm thinking, yeah, right.
Those are the ones. Now, speaking about the unfortunate names that are sometimes in the corner of our minds, it looks like Jake Paul has given his handler the go-ahead to start negotiating for his next whooping.
It's
What do you
handler.
his handler? Isn't that what it is?
That's the thing. I mean, you're speaking of Mr. Badarian, aren't you? And I would never call him that, obviously, Mr. Badarian.
Mister, you would never call him Mister?
I'd call him Mister, and I'd call him Sir, and I'd say that's marvelous, Mr. Badarian, and well done. Now, the thing is, he said he's had two interviews recently,
Mm-hmm.
and on the first of them, he said, "I've spoken to Jake." I think he said this. I've spoken to Jake a couple of times since he lost to Anthony Joshua. I thought those two were tight. I thought that was Jake on top. Oh. I thought it was like that. I thought they were tight business-wise. I thought they were tight friends. Only spoken to him twice. But he's come up with, I mean, he's saying that he's going to come over to the UK, and I feel a little slighted because he's come up with 3 names.
Okay.
Would you like me to tell you who they are?
I would love to hear the names.
Okay. So the one that's most likely is Thomas Fury. So Tommy Fury, I mean, right. You fought Mike Tyson, 106 million views. It was terrible, 106 million views. You fought AJ, and now you're looking to have a rematch with the man you lost to, Tommy Fury, who's not really in the boxing world at the moment. He's just had a documentary.
Yeah.
And he's a reality TV star. So
You
really,
look him up. Google it right now. Everybody, take a second. Google it right now. Type into your Google bar Tommy Fury. It doesn't come up boxer. It comes up TV personality, which are 2 separate things. But anyways, back to you, Steve.
well, yes, you're quite right. And he's not really in that boxing world. So he's in the kind of crossover boxing world. It's weird, isn't it? Because he is a boxer and he is part of the Fury family. The amazing thing about Tommy is you don't get that Tyson Fury rub. You don't get that Big John Fury rub. Right. You don't with Tommy. I don't know why. You do with Huey. You don't with Tommy. It's weird. So he's not a boxer.
That's why.
It's a crossover boxing, influencer boxing thing. So the other names are, well, one might not be with them anymore, but are misfits. They're misfits boxing names. So one of them is Vidal Riley, who's, I mean, what kind of pedigree has Vidal Riley got? I mean, you're not looking to, if you say, I need a step up from Mike Tyson and AJ, you would not say, I know Tommy Fury, because you're not looking at a step up, but you're looking at a massive step down. Yep. Similar to the one that I took when I did my ankle in just before Christmas, which is still sore, folks. So the thing is, that's the first name, Vidal Riley. So he's not an influencer, crossover boxer with misfits. And the third one I would love to see, but it doesn't help his business, is Darren Till.
Right.
I mean, he's gonna have to pay off Carl Froch, because Carl Froch wants that fight. Tidster, he wants that fight. He wants that fight. 100 million wants that fight. But I mean, Darren Till would be fun. But how do these move him up? Or is he saying, I've had my peak time, as I have said, I've had my peak time, and the only 2 now that would push the metric up are Logan, my brother, and Floyd Mayweather.
Well,
or Tyson Fury, who's not interested.
So you have to ask the question: is he going to go out there and put himself into harm's way yet, like he did with Anthony Joshua, and take that chance? Or so he's got to take a step back, right? We can all just kind of agree that he's got to take a step back here at this point. But can he take a step back and still succeed at his goal? What's his goal? What's his goal, Steve?
I don't know what it is, because
it's a champion. He's always said he wants to be a boxing champion, right? You know.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Bear with me here, because one of those 3 names that you've said is a fucking champion. And don't get twisted. Don't swallow on your own phlegm over there, because it happens to be the BBB, the B's of boxing, BBB of C. They're just a BBC boxing belt, but it's a legitimate belt, correct?
Yes, but Jake Paul doesn't want that.
But if he has it, he's in the mix of being undeniable that you have to put his name in rankings now. You have to put his name amongst greats.
Yes, I take your point entirely. What I'm going to ask you, though,
And
is
then he's
can
going to
Jake-
want a piece of England. Yep.
Yeah, well,
then he's going to want rights.
he's going to want to do a UFC card on the lawn of Buckingham
Hey,
Palace,
hey,
like they are at the White House. Which
I'll have you,
Tinder is coming? We don't know when. Well, we
Listen.
do know when, but we don't know what.
Listen, I'll have you know right now that only the United States of America, thank you very much, is allowed to do fist fights on the front lawn. Okay. It's kind of what we've been doing for centuries. It's how we settle things. We do fist fights on the front yard. And sometimes a boob might fall out. You never know. This is what they do.
But now I want to see it.
Yeah,
I
you
think I
do.
did before, but but what we had was, this is just a slight diversion. What we had was 7 or 8, 9 matches, all of them title matches. Everyone, never been so many title matches. Now we've got 6 matches possibly, and we don't know what they are. But we know that Dana White's working on it, but not matchmaking, folks, because he said he's not a matchmaker.
Right.
Anyway,
Well,
back to this Farrago that we call Britain. And I don't know. I think I take your point. It's a way in. But could Jake Paul's ego, because, he has an ego, as we all do, could his ego take all the brickbats from people like you and I saying, what's that you've got? You snuck in. You couldn't bother. You couldn't take a title off anyone. One of the things that I just thought, you're coming over to Britain, to the UK, and Nikisha is telling me that you've got these 3 names. Well, we have an awful, if you're looking for heavyweights, then we have an awful lot of burgeoning heavyweights and cruisers. You could pick Chris Smith. You could pick Lawrence Okolie. You could pick David Adelaide. You could pick him. You could pick Joshua Buatsi. There's a ton of them. So why are you saying, let's have influencers? It really denigrates the UK's boxing in a heavyweight basis.
but this is what we've said, didn't we not? We called this a long time ago. Jake Paul is going to have to go back and draw from that base. And now he's already doing it. And I think that he's going to have something more than just being Jake Paul at this point to draw Tommy Fury back out. I don't think that happens. So what happens is, hey, you want to come and defend your country and get this belt back that I just took off of this misfit boxing guy. I think that this is the reverse. Jake is going to go about this like this is the reverse of the British invasion. He's looking at it like, the Beatles came over to America and did this. So he's going to Britain on behalf of the United States of America. It's not like a Paul brother going to Japan. It's not going to end up like that. I think that, I think that Jake can come back with a little bit more than that.
So if he does this, it starts as Stripes versus Union Jack, obviously the other way around. Is he going to, is Tommy Fury going to have Paul McCartney in his corner and Jake Paul going to have Bruce Springsteen in his corner? Is that what we think?
Oh, I would probably go with some artists that are a little bit younger.
You swine.
I don't know. Listen, here's the funny thing, Steve, is I don't know who they would be either.
No. But Paul McCartney, I mean, he was in a Popular Beat combo. I think you'll find
that. Can you actually call him that still? I thought you had to always refer to him as Sir Paul at this point.
We do. Most people do, but myself and Paul, we've got an understanding.
Gotcha.
I never call him or speak or text him at all anymore because there's an injunction, obviously.
Gotcha. Do you have him in your phone as PP?
I can't call him PP anymore. He doesn't like it.
It's a fair assessment. Listen, Steve, I don't know what you could even possibly do with Jake at this point. I think that this is an indication, though, I think this is an indication, because if you see that Jake has got to a point where he is, and now he's all of a sudden saying, oh, wait a second, I need to pull this back and I need to go back to influencer boxing and stuff like that. That could really be more of a state of where boxing and sanctioning bodies and promoters are really at right now. And I mean, did we not hear something from Frank Warren to, please, sir, can you spare a shilling? Please, sir, can you help us get back on our feet? Is this not what we heard? What did you hear from your buddy Frank?
It wasn't like that at all. And by the way, before I go on, I don't have any connection with Paul McCartney. I just want to make that very clear for anybody listening. Paul McCartney is marvelous, and I have no connection with him. Right. And you pulled me into those comments. I'll absolutely say that. So the situation with Frank Warren is that he is a seasoned individual in the boxing world and a wise head on seasoned shoulders. So I am really interested in what he says. And certainly after the situation with the Tyson Fury fight, the Mac is back and all of that. Probably the Big Mac, considering the way people are talking about him at the moment. But he is coming back against Arslan Makhmudov, and it's going to be shown on Netflix, and it's got Turki Al-Sheikh money. And people were saying, well, Frank Warren has said, and I saw the video, I had no real say in where it would go. So I think we talked about this last week. What's going on with Frank Warren? And he said recently several things. So he made a kind of State of the Nation comment or interview about boxing. He talked about VADA and said that there should be one database for drugs, which is for drug testing, which is great. He made a kind of veiled comment, I suppose, about Zuffa, and said that really there needs to be sanctioning bodies, but there were too many. However, when there were only two, when there was only two of them, people waited around for a long time. So he qualified that. But the main thing I'm interested in is that he didn't talk about pay-per-view, and he didn't talk about streaming. You know what he said? The live gate will always be there. And he said, I'm interested in these large screens that people put in, almost like that kind of closed circuit thing that people used to do before pay-per-view. So he's talking about putting huge screens in, I suppose, and then people watching it in different parts of the country and all of that. So is he then saying, maybe because of the Tyson Fury situation, and maybe he's thinking, well, actually, let's just pull back from this and get right back to grassroots. Him saying the live gate will always be there made me think, is he just kind of saying enough of all these shenanigans? Let's just go back to, where I feel, well, not that he feels comfortable. He feels comfortable everywhere in boxing, but let's just go back. For instance, let me just put this in. We saw recently Mr. Paro, who's facing Lewis Crocker, after Paddy Donovan had to pull out because of illness. He's facing Lewis Crocker for his IBF title in Australia, in his own backyard. Now, Lewis Crocker won't want that, surely. I mean, he might like Australia, but he surely won't want to do that in Australia. And one of the reasons why is because No Limits have won the bid. And Matchroom wanted to win the bid as well, but they lost it for the want of $27,000. Now, that's the kind of shenanigan which could affect your fighter. And maybe after you've been doing it for many years, now, I'm not second guessing Frank here, because I happen to think he's fabulous, and really learned and experienced and intelligent. But I think that maybe he's thinking, oh, enough of that. Let's go back and have a look at the small halls and the bigger halls and the live gates and all of that. He didn't mention pay-per-view once, did Stir?
Or is it because he's about to lose it? He's about to lose all of that. Like maybe he's seeing the writing that's on the wall, and he's seeing that the new kids on the block that are showing up are taking over. Like who are the biggest things? He's been through the times when HBO and Showtime and all of these other places had big money fights. Now they don't. It's all gone to Netflix. It's all going to DAZN, or it's all, well, that's basically it right there for the big ones. And now Paramount. And those spots are being taken up by other things that, he's probably looking at it and saying, hey, maybe the place for us to really know that we can make our money is off of Live Gate. Now, one of the things that they have with that, if you've noticed that they have these places where you can go and the entire wall in this screen, they did it with the UFC and stuff like that, is set up these bars, so it feels like you're right there at the event. They did it with professional wrestling. They've done it with UFC. Maybe he's looking at that, they can do that, because then that is kind of an offshoot of a live gate where they can draw this stuff, right? It's kind of like showing the things in movie theaters, showing the events in movie theaters instead of, but I think that's a stretch. I think that's a big stretch when it's just way too convenient to just watch it on your house. And the price of TVs has come down. A 50-inch TV doesn't cost you what it used to 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So people can have these massive entertainment centers in their homes. I think what you're going to end up having is you're going to have people that are going to go back to the old days. You're going to have people going back to the old days where there's going to be a lot more in-house bootleg parties happening to watch these things, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I take your point about spaces being taken up. I mean, he's seen it all, hasn't he? He's seen it all. I mean, this is a man who survived being shot by one of his own fighters, allegedly. So this is a man who has his time served, and he's seen the ups and the downs. And what we've got at the moment is Sky Sports has gone because MVP will be doing that work, and they want a long-term contract. BBC, Boxer have also recently come in with DAZN. So you've got Riyadh season. What does Frank have? He has a bit of a link up with DAZN because of Matchroom, really. So he sees Boxer coming in there, thinking, well, hang on a minute. It's getting a bit crowded in here, isn't it? So it's smart. It's smart for him to say, look, I'm not competing in the same way. This is what Ben Shalom does. We're different. We're not competing in the same way. Oh, I'm doing exactly the same things as everybody else. But it seems like I'm a disruptor. Whereas Frank doesn't need to worry too much because he's got the heavyweight world sewn up on one side. Mm-hmm. If you look at, and I podcasted about this yesterday, if you look at Usyk, and I really admire Usyk, I think he's a fabulous fighter and generational talent, but he's pissing about at the moment because he might fight Rico Verhoeven next. He's an MMAer. So what's the point? He either cares about the belt or he doesn't. On the other side of things, you've got Fabio Wardley, who does care about the belts, and he's very respectful about the belt. And maybe he's your Billy Small belt, but he's the one you look at. And Frank Warren controls all of that in that way.
Well, speaking of which, Moses Utama fight is coming up.
I don't think it is because he's got a bicep tear, and he's had a bicep tear, and even if it's only small, I don't know. I think it was tight to say let's do it in March. I think they might have to make another announcement on that.
It's going to be wild because there's not any big fights in March. Like that was really it. So we'll see what happens. But yes, you're right. Like Queensbury has had a lot of stuff tied up with their heavyweight division. There's no doubt about it. In fact, wait, Nick Ball's a Queensbury guy, wasn't he? Oh, anyways, he's got Dubois, he's got Wardley, he's got Fury, he's got Itama. Like that's it. But Fury's out. Wardley, Dubois, and Itama are the future. They're going to be around a lot longer than Frank is. There's no doubt about that. So then maybe that's another thing that, Frank is looking at. Like, listen, I can't do this forever. I can't keep having these battles with these guys back and forth with these governing bodies and seeing the way that the WBC is just stripping everybody. And now we've got these young guys who want to go make money, but they want to be on TV. And I can't guarantee them a TV deal because all of these other people are doing their own things. And, I think you're seeing a real culture shift. It's about to happen in the world of boxing as well, right? Or is it going to be another flash in the pan? Because we've seen stuff like this try to take off before. I think this time is going to be different, though, Steve.
Yeah, it's people are putting their roots down now and they are drawing their lines. Although Zuffa Boxing's muddying this, because a few weeks ago I was very clear and now look a little bit stupid because I was saying there's going to be a war, and now Zuffa is saying, you know how we said we wouldn't work with these people? Well, we're going to work with these people. So, Jayal Pattaya is still saying, I want to be undisputed, and I invite you, David Benavides. Right. So now you're looking to work with promoters and sanctioning bodies and all of that. So I don't.
And what was that heavyweight fight that they came out and said that they wanted to put on again?
Yeah.
What was that again?
It was quite a large fight. It was Mr. Tyson Fury
against
versus Mr. Anthony Joshua.
What? Who said that fight was going to happen? Who said that? Who said that it was going to be Zuffa that was going to be putting on this fight?
It may well have been said on this program by your good self, I would say.
It's unbelievable. They are so fucking transparent sometimes.
Yes. Everybody's watching this show. We know this. And I also find some of our phrases echoed back in messages on social media. True. So I know this is happening. And you are welcome, folks. Welcome.
Yeah.
But it's a real febrile situation at the moment. And Frank's right, to just sort of say, I'm in with this. He can do pay-per-views with these big guys. Although I'm really excited by this, I don't think it's a very smart move for Frank to put Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois in together. I think it's a really good fight. And I think Wardley wins. And I think Dubois is then, we know the guilt's off the gingerbread with that particular fighter. But it's not good for Frank. But it is good for boxing. So everything's a bit up in the air. And Frank's just kind of stepping away a bit and saying, let's see what develops, because something will shake loose and I'll then have the ability to jump on that.
Well, I mean, you've got the Deontay Wilder fight. It's coming up. You've got Derek Chisora may decide that he's going to want more than 50. Who knows? You've got Andy Ruiz is out there again. You've got other heavyweights out there for these guys to fight. I think you're right. Frank shouldn't be so quick to push them upon one another, trying to keep it in-house like that. No. And what's going to happen is these guys, especially at the heavyweight division, they're going to be looking for the payout because nobody wants to get hit by another heavyweight. You know what I mean? Like, you're putting your life on the line every time you go out there. It was very interesting. I was listening to Jarrell Miller was back home in New York, and he was on Sirius XM on one of the channels, and he was talking about it, but he was also talking about this day and age where, you have to look at yourself and market yourself. You have to be ready to take care of yourself. And that's going to happen with some of these young guys, with Daniel Dubois, with Moses Saitama, these younger guys that are coming up. They're going to be like, we see all this stuff happening over here. We want to go get a piece of it,
And you're right, different weight class. But just now, before we came on, Eddie Hearn said, well, Conor Benn doesn't need a belt to make all these big fights. And you don't, if your social media and your character game is good.
But if you don't need a belt, but you still need the airtime recognition, who would be the best group to quote work with to make that happen?
I mean, you could say Zuffa, but and a lot of people are kissing Zuffa's ring piece at the moment. But I think you're still probably, if you're looking at the old world, you want to rush to Eddie Hearn. He's still doing it. He's still doing it now. I know he lost the Amparo and Lewis Crocker purse bid, and he's pulled back. They've pulled back from other purse bids recently, but he still talks a mile a minute, and he's still the best mouth in the game. So if you want that, purely want that, if you think, I'll get these big fights, I'll get loads of money, I've got name recognition, I don't care about belts, Eddie, make it happen, and he will strap a rocket to you.
Well, I mean, he did say recently, last time he was in Vegas, he tried to set up a meeting with Dana, and Dana kind of ghosted him. whose court is the ball in right now? Right, this is really where we're at. And listen, Zuffa, to their credit, the two outings that they've put on TV, even though one of them was a Sunday night, but they did this with the UFC as well. The outings have been good. The fights have been really, really, really good. And until that stops, I mean, they can, shove it in everybody's faces right now.
And your idea of there's a table and they're setting it up and the places are laid for, Boxer are doing the same thing on the BBC. Yep. I know I'm a shill for Boxer, not a shill, but I'm not a shill. We're not talking about Zuffa and all that kind of thing here. But I think that their work is on the BBC is fabulous.
Yeah,
and I think it's quiet, but they bring the crowd in because the fights are good. The Francesca Hennessy fight and Eddie Boutel fight last week before last week, which was not supposed to be the main event. The crowd, as I said last week, best all weekend. And you know what? That's what Zuffa want as well. So, I think he's there. I think that that it's interesting regarding Jake Paul because he now brings Sky Sports.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to do with Sky Sports, that's a nice shiny bauble. They're back in the boxing game. And what you get is, well, we bring the women's boxing, actually. They want more than that. And they say they want more than that. But actually, it's mainly women's boxing. And, he's done fantastically well. And MVP have too. And Zuffa will want that, surely.
Mm-hmm.
So, Edward Hearn Esquire is not at the table yet. But he's knocking on the window saying, I'm just standing here watching you eat. And I'm gonna pick my nose while you do it. And I might even take a shit in the begonias so that, you can't ignore me. I'm not saying he's going to do that. Of course not. But, you can't ignore him. And at some point, they're going to need him because they're going to need a hype man. And he's more than that. But for them, that's what they might need.
I think you're absolutely right. And I also think that it's a fun little dig that Boxer is taken to MVP right now because their next big headlining card is being headlined by Lauren Price and Stephanie Pinheiro. It's like, hey, we can do women's boxing too, stupid. It's fantastic. Listen, I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. And I can't wait till we can talk about it again next week. Steve, tell us about this garbage movie that you watched very quickly before we go.
Well, I saw two last night. I saw Shroud, which is David Cronenberg's new movie. If you like David Cronenberg, you need to be a certain kind of person to like David Cronenberg's movies. It's body horror. And I liked it, but then I thought, what's the ending? Oh, it's David Cronenberg, so there isn't an ending, but I felt heated.
Nightbreed is one of the greatest movies of all time, my friend.
It is, but it's not a Cronenberg movie. It's
he's in it.
He's fucking superb in it. I mean, that mask with the button eyes. I said it to my friend Alan last night. Hello, Alan.
The dialogue. I mean, come on. Boone's dead, Lori. And so are you. Oh, really? Did you practice that, Dave? How many times did you rehearse that in the mirror? You genius. Fucking garbage.
I like him in it. But after I watched that, I was thinking, it didn't hold me. Okay. We had other conversations while we were watching it. And then I watched a movie, which is an English movie. It's an English horror movie. It's called Dr. Plague. And if you remember Spandau Ballet and the Kemp brothers, then it stars Martin Kemp as a policeman. There is an extraordinary moment. This is a mark of the movie. Within 5 minutes, my friend Alan, who is in movies, said to me, "Oh no, I'm sorry." He said, "Let's watch this," and he, "Oh no, I'm sorry." Right from the beginning. However, there's a scene where he's a copper and he's got another copper, and there's a big conspiracy theory. And the younger copper, you see him walking up the steps to the roof of somewhere. Now, on the roof are enormous satellite dishes. Enormous. There's 3 or 4 of them, massive satellite dishes. So Martin Kemp's character walks around, the other policeman walks around the corner and says, "Yeah, there's a big conspiracy here. I wanted to meet you somewhere where we can't be heard." Right. There are enormous satellite dishes 2 inches from you. Did nobody think? well, we might want to look at something else because these are fucking massive satellite dishes. I mean, it look good, but Dr. Plague, it's one of those big plague mask things, which can be very scary. But I've never seen a movie that scared me with them. And this one didn't either.
All right. All right. Well, listen, if we're talking about crossover stuff and musicians and movies, I don't know if you know this or not, but it looks like Al Jorgensen from Ministry is going to be in a movie called Jesus Cop coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. On that note, one thing that you have to remember that Jesus might be for ministry because, wow, that, you know, if you think about it, that's just kind of a perfect tie that the ministry is working for Jesus and the cops, it seems like, but not us. Not us.
Come to the children. Wu-Tang is for the children. We teach the children.
That's exactly what we do here, ODB. You let them know each and every time. Steve, it's absolutely always a pleasure. Until next time, I mean, you got to remember, there's really only a couple of things that you got to do. Listen to this show, like and subscribe it, tuck your chin. Peace.
Wrestling, rock, pop, books, films, TV, boxing. All of this is covered on Steve Swift's Rambling Reviews. I am he, Steve Swift, a UK guy. What you get is all of that. And a funny voice and even a funnier face. See? Steve Swift's Rambling Reviews. Come to me. I've got a review. Just for you. Ta-ta.